Hi, I'm Jeremy with reviewed.com, and we've spent the past week or so playing around with this thing. It's the Blackmagic cinema camera. This is the original cinema camera, so this is the first camera that Blackmagic has ever made. They've released the Pocket Cam, they've released the Micro Four Thirds version of this, they've released the 4K cinema camera, but this is the original one, just had its price drop by $1,000, which is huge. So it's only $2,000, which sounds like a great deal. And you know, we thought it was a great deal just for our own video production needs, so we wanted to try it out. But when we got down into it, the $2,000 doesn't sound as reasonable once you realize how much extra stuff you have to get with this thing. So this, right off the bat, this is an extra battery. A few $100s, but it's absolutely needed. The battery on this thing was terrible. It does have a plug, so you can plug it in. So if you're just staying in a studio, that's an option. It does have audio inputs, but they're 1/4-inch jacks, which is a little unusual. All this bracing around it, none of this comes with the camera. Like none of this. Not this handle, not this front, obviously not the shoulder mount. This is all stuff we got from Wooden Camera, which is pretty high-end stuff because it's very modular. You could use this with any camera basically, but it's also really annoying because this is a heavy camera. It's a really difficult camera to use. It has no autofocus, very limited auto features, so you're adjusting them with this awkward setup. You have to hit buttons on the back, which are really hard to reach. I'm reaching across my face and I'm basically punching myself in the face just to adjust things. So you can go really bare bones, spend $2,000, but chances are you're going to be spending a lot more just to get this thing to work for your needs. There's a touch screen, which is kind of strange and kind of annoying. Like I said, it's hard to reach over while you're doing controls. And then there's an iris button and a focus peaking button. The focus peaking is terrible. It's really hard to see, especially outside. Iris is the same way. It's such a bad LCD that it's really difficult to see if you're exposing properly. Another limitation of the camera is the crop factor. Because it's a pretty small sensor, it's not a full frame sensor, it's actually a fairly small sensor compared to like what you get for SLRs that shoot video or even some Micro Four Thirds cameras that shoot video. So the crop factor is almost 2x, which means you've got to get some really wide glass in order to get wide shots. So we got the EF mount version of this camera, which is the original version. They also sell it as a Micro Four Thirds mount. Changing the aperture electronically with the Blackmagic camera is really not fun. You have to do it with buttons and it's very imprecise. There's no dial or scroll wheel or anything like that. It shoots on these SSD drives. They actually get really hot, which is that was kind of a surprise. But they shoot on these, they're fairly inexpensive. This is a 240 gig SSD, and you know, you can get those for less than $200. So in a lot of ways, it's cheaper than even shooting on SD cards. If someone was shooting their first independent film or a documentary or something like that, and they wanted a recommendation, I don't know if I would necessarily recommend this. It's a little too complicated for that. I'd probably recommend one of the new SLRs, a Panasonic GH3, a Canon 5D Mark III, or maybe something a little lower on Canon's DSLR Echelon. Even the Nikon DSLRs have gotten a lot better with video over the past couple years.